Hi, and welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about the first ever 2028 primary polls for the Democrat primary and the Republican primary. And I know what you're thinking. Why do we care about these polls from an election that's coming out 4 years from now? We are nowhere close to 2028, so why talk about them? Well, these are the first polls we got to really analyze this election and the primaries that will really be set into play about 2 years from now. And I really do think it's nice to look at these polls from early on. And then, when the elections are going on, when the primaries are going on, we finally get a good picture. It's nice to come back to this and be like, oh, wow, that's where we went from there. It's nice to look back at these polls and see, oh, these polls were right, or no, these polls were wrong. So I really do like to look at these from an early standpoint, and I am excited to get into the primaries years to come. It's still 2 years out, but anyway, we have these polls, and I think it was more interesting on the Democrat side because as of right now, the Democratic Party no longer has a leader, right? Joe Biden is leaving. Kamala Harris was voted out of the election. So far, Hakeem Jeffries is still going to be a minority leader. Chuck Schumer was just voted into the minority, so the Democrats really have no leader. And Donald Trump was just elected president again. His term obviously will expire 4 years from now. And JD Vance, so far, he's going to be the vice president, and it looks like he'll be set to be the front runner. I mean, he's the number two guy in the Republican Party right now. So, looking at this article on Newsweek of these polls that dropped last night, Kamala Harris is by some margin Democrat voters' most favorite candidate to be the party's 2028 presidential election candidate, according to a new poll. They surveyed over 1,000 likely voters between November 14th and 18th with 3.5-point margin of error. Of the 393 polled who said they support the Democrats, 41% stated that if the 2028 Democratic presidential primary were being held today, they would vote for Harris, well ahead of a second place California Governor Gavin Newsom on 8%. So you see Kamala Harris have like this large lead over the Democrats as she was just previously their nominee. She went into the election against Donald Trump, and sure, she lost by a very big margin, but still, they still see like she could still have a choice. She's very popular still with the Democrat Party. And maybe some are hoping that she could be the nominee in 4 years. If Donald Trump could lose to Joe Biden that bad in 2020 and then in 2024 become the nominee, beat Biden's vice president, and win the election, I guess they're saying the same thing with Kamala Harris. If Kamala Harris could lose the 2024 election, be the nominee in 2028 and beat Donald Trump's vice president candidate, who could be the nominee. I think he probably will. Too early to tell, but he could be. So let's say JD Vance is the Republican nominee. They're looking like Kamala Harris could be the Democrat nominee, and she could beat JD Vance. Now, I'm not saying it's a real good possibility. This is all just like it's all just possibilities. It's all just so the Democrats are just really hoping that maybe Kamala Harris can make some sort of comeback. Let's see what else we got. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro came third with 7%, followed by Secretary Pete Buttigieg and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Harris's 2024 running mate. So Tim Walz is interesting because Tim Walz, when they were on the campaign trail, one of the most interesting things I noticed is that Tim Walz was much more popular than Kamala Harris. I mean, Kamala Harris still had good popularity ratings, but still, Tim Walz was much more favored than all the other candidates, including on the other team. So that was interesting to me, and I think Tim Walz would probably be a stronger candidate as a presidential nominee than Kamala Harris. I think if the Democrats won Tim Walz in 2028, sure, there'd be that embarrassing look back in 2024 of when he lost as the VP choice with Kamala Harris, but maybe that'd be like a motivational thing for Tim Walz to be in the 2028. Maybe, he has a lot of energy. He's from the Midwest. I think him being the VP ticket was probably very bad on the Democrat side. I think he'd be a very strong candidate if he was the presidential nominee, and if they went right on a couple of issues. But still, we're not even in 2025 yet, and I think it's still too early to be like, oh yeah, that's what's gonna happen. So, anyways, the article says Harris lost the 2024 election on November 5th, picking up just 226 electoral college votes against 312 for Donald Trump. The Republican candidate also won the popular vote and picked up a clean sweep of the battleground states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. Donald Trump all won all the swing states. The other named potential Democratic primary candidates include House Representative AOC, 4%, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer on 3%, and Illinois Governor JB, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, and New Jersey Senator Cory Booker on percent each. So you have, this is interesting to me because AOC is a very left representative in the House, and she's at 4%, but you still have the Michigan governor, right? Very popular governor, Illinois governor, another popular governor, Kentucky governor, and Senator Cory Booker all tied, but they are below AOC. So that means as of right now, the Democrats are sure right now the most preferred candidate is Kamala Harris, but in this poll shows that these Democrats, these 1,000 Democrats that participated in this poll said, "Oh, I'd rather vote for, or I'd rather have AOC as my nominee than Gretchen Whitmer, JB, Andy Beshear, and Cory Booker." Andy Beshear and Gretchen Whitmer are like really surprising to me because I thought they'd be higher up in a poll like this. Especially because Andy Beshear won re-election by 5 points. Gretchen Whitmer won her re-election by 10 or 11 points. So I thought they'd be higher up, much more than a very progressive, left-leaning representative in the House, AOC. I think AOC would not be a good candidate for the Democrats. I also think Gretchen Whitmer would not be a good candidate for the Democrats. But like I said before, it's still too early to tell. And there's still, Donald Trump hasn't even taken office as the 47th president of the United States yet. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens. So Newsweek contacted Kamala Harris 2024 presidential election campaign. Oh my goodness, sorry, I'm talking too fast. Newsweek contacted Kamala Harris's 2024 presidential election campaign for comment on email on Tuesday, and I let's see, she didn't respond, right? Out of 390, no, it doesn't say. The 390 Republican supporting voters polled Vice President-elect J.D. Vance was by some margin the most popular potential GOP candidate for 2028. So that's no surprising to me, right? J.D. Vance will obviously be the next vice president, and he's probably set at this point to be the Republican nominee. Asked if the 2028 Republican presidential primary will be held today, whom would you vote for? 37 replied Vance, ahead of former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and business Vivek Ramaswamy on 9% each. Trump appointed Ramaswamy, who stood against him for the 2024 Republican presidential nominee, to the newly created Department of Government Efficiency. I still can't believe that's a real thing. Along with the business tycoon Elon Musk. However, he said Haley, Trump's last credible rival for the GOP nominee, would not be joining his administration. So I think, honestly, Nikki Haley would have a pretty good shot for the nomination. I don't think she'd win it in 2028. Considering that J.D. Vance will probably have the nomination locked down if he decides to run. However, if he doesn't decide to run, which I doubt, then maybe it's a real shot for Nikki Haley, considering how much votes she got around last time in the primary. She was able to pry around like 10 to 12% of the voters in the Republican field away from Donald Trump. However, she still got beat heavily. She won about like, what was it? She won like, I think she won New Hampshire or Vermont. I think it was New Hampshire. She won New Hampshire, and then she won DC. She won DC. That was about all she won. Donald Trump won the rest, but she was still a decent opponent for Donald Trump in the primary, and she was the last one standing against Donald Trump until early March, when she decided to drop out after Super Tuesday. But still, I think Nikki Haley would have a good shot. Maybe there'd be some Republicans divided against J.D. Vance if Vance decided to run. I doubt it. However, it is still way too early to really predict anything. And I really just want to focus more on the 2025 governor races and the 2026 midterms. But I saw these polls, and I knew I had to make a video on it. So, yeah. So, Kamala Harris right now leads Democrat primary, and J.D. Vance leads the Republican primary, which I'm also not surprised, as even during the midterms in 2022, we saw Joe Biden continuously leading in his primary the whole time. He was not down a single poll. It was expected. He's the president. He was obviously going to win the primary by such a wide margin, and Donald Trump was already set to win the nomination. So, yeah, it'll be interesting how these go, and it's still way too early, but I'll definitely be looking more into this once we enter 2025, and even after the governor races are done with. But anyways, yeah, that is it for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, please like and subscribe down below and follow my Blue Sky at Vote Breakdown, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.